Hey Sarah, what matters?
What matters, Jack?
Media matters. Two Australian journalists were arrested in Malaysia last week after attempting to question the Prime Minister on allegations of embezzlement. Linton Besser and Louis Aroglu, filming for ABC's Four Corners, were detained by police shortly after a media event with Malaysian Prime Minister Rajib Razak. Razak was visiting a mosque in the country's west when ABC reporter Linton Besser asked the Prime Minister to comment on reports that he may have funneled over $1 billion of state funds into his own account.
Hello, Mr. Prime Minister. It's ABC Australia. I'm wondering if you can explain the hundreds of millions of dollars in your account.
After asking the question, Besser and Aroglu were then prevented from entering the mosque with the rest of the media contingent and were told they would have to leave the event. 2 hours later, Besser and Aroglu were arrested on charges for obstructing a public official and having breached the security line at the media event, and had their passports confiscated. The charges were dropped shortly after, and the two have since left Malaysia for Singapore. Footage of the incident show the claims that the pair were obstructing and being too aggressive toward the Prime Minister are largely unfounded. Charges that they also overstepped a security boundary are also highly fanciful, as no apparent barrier seemed to exist, and the rest of the media crowd were able to freely follow the Prime Minister into the event. Besser and Aroglu were escorted to the airport and told to leave the country a few days later, and were informed that they may face charges in the future if they ever try to enter Malaysia as anything other than tourists. The two have spoken on the issue and strongly deny any wrongdoing.
It's incontrovertible. There is no police line, there were no instructions given, it was a media event with lots of other media.
While their ordeal seems to be over, it raises some worrying questions about press freedom in Malaysia. Media restrictions in Malaysia are nothing new. Out of a surveyed 180 countries, the organisation Reporters Without Borders ranks Malaysia as 147th in the world for press freedom. Newspaper, television and radio are subject to some quite strict censorship rules, which often includes banning content like sex scenes and swearing. In a 1996 piece of legislation, the government pledged it wouldn't censor the internet. Last month, however, the government ordered ISPs to block access to the news site The Malaysian Insider, following on from its coverage of the embezzlement controversy surrounding the Prime Minister. The site has since closed, which many people see as a blow for free media in the Southeast Asian country. A number of other outlets that reported on the issue were also handed suspensions and bans last year. It's ironic that by preventing Besser and Aroglu from doing their jobs, Prime Minister Razak has probably drawn more attention to his possibly dodgy dealings than would have occurred had the journalists not been detained. Foreign correspondents like Linton Besser and Louis Aroglu will always be needed to hold those in power to account, and it should always be a matter of great public concern whenever there are impediments to them doing their jobs properly.
Now, I don't know about you, but last week my newsfeed took a break from Trump's greatest racist hits to feature this photo of Kim Kardashian. Now, before you yet again condemn Western media for forcing you to keep up with the Kardashians without your consent, let me just say that we really gotta stop condemning Kim Kardashian for being a quote-unquote bad mother. Right now the conversation seems to be that those people who would, usually celebrate body positivity, the ones telling you that your body is your right, are the same ones that are calling Kim Kardashian a whore for posting these pictures. Yes, the internet, what a wonderful place of hypocrisy. The main criticism that is thrown to this mother, and also many other mothers, is that they can't be sexy in public because they are a mum. Now, this hasn't just happened to Kim. Beyonce has also been slammed for being too sexy in her videos from her recent album. Now, let's just take a moment to think about how she became a mother. Don't know about you, but generally sex is what makes you become a mother. And yet, criticisms are resounding. Apparently, being a mother means that you have to somehow be ashamed of your sexuality. There have literally been men who have posed for centerfolds and have become politicians and have never had to go through this. For example, you never hear someone say, "You're someone's father." Does your wife let you out of the house looking like that? Kim understands her sexuality and has built a career displaying her body, and you're saying that once a child pops out of her uterus, as should her sexuality. That's like saying if you take a flower out of a garden, it's not a garden anymore, it's just a sad, old swamp. And yet every time something like this happens, people are so compelled to talk about this video. Now look, how come every time Ted Cruz speaks, this video where he speaks about tit films is never mentioned? Or that time he was in the Harvard production of The Crucible doesn't get brought up. You're someone's father, Ted. How does your wife feel about that? The way motherhood is constructed in everyday life means that motherhood is the only important thing in a woman's life. So instead of thanking mainstream media for their high coverage of the Kardashian, why don't we thank them for yet again policing behaviour? This guy is a dad, and he got a sequel to his male stripper movie. This guy is a dad, and he also has a flattering "Hey girl" meme, #dadbot. And of course others had to weigh in on their opinion. We've got Chloe Moretz here, and we've got Bette Midler, who wrote, "If Kim wants us to see a part of her we've never seen, she's gonna have to swallow the camera. What a way to put a wind beneath your wings. Who's gonna need sunscreen with all that shade?" And I mean, it is important to engage in feminist debate. Gloria Steinem and Madeleine Albright last month said that real feminists should vote for a woman president, whereas millennials responded by saying that real feminists vote based on politics and not on gender. But the debate here is about the complexities of third-wave feminist sexual empowerment, which limits ideas about sexual harassment, assault, sex trafficking, and degrading advertisements. We need to start asking these sorts of questions and stop it with the low blows.
Hey, thanks for watching Media Matters. Let us know what you thought about topics, and we'll see you next week.
Yay!
Hey, subscribe and stuff.